Renting gives you shelter. Owning gives you shelter, stability, and security.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker team.
We are delighted that we've created for you free access to over 703 Life's Inside Track episodes where we share insider tips, making house home, and building wealth wisely through real estate. And right now, we're in week number 5, or are we even on 6? I think we're on episode number 6 in the middle of the show where we are doing the wealth formula expanded. And now we're talking about how to use our money, leverage the right way for ownership in real estate to get even more out of the money that we have.
And we're in week 6 of 8 of the wealth formula expanded. And we're really learning from Zane as he teaches Sarah and David around some of the financial principles that are like gravity, you know? Gravity, whether you believe in it or not, if you jump off a chair, you're going to go down.
It's truth. Truth is truth.
Yeah. Whereas, or the same as some of the principles, the financial principles are like gravity. If you work against them, they will drag you down. If you work with them, they will pull you up. But understanding them is very important. So Zane is talking to Sarah and David, and he's saying, well, purchasing your first home is a great thing. And he demonstrates how leverage works when you're buying your first home because, you know, if you're putting 5% down or 20% down, the point in the book, he's talking 60,000 down and 300 purchase.
With it, that's a 20% down payment.
That's because 12 years ago, that's what a typical, you know, nice townhome was worth. Now you'll buy it for 600, maybe 700 if it's a really nice one. So you can use the same numbers. You just have to
the same principle.
Kind of increase the numbers.
Right. You use the same percentages. You just increase the numbers. And the reason we went with 20% in the book was just, and many people can't save up to 20%. But what we're seeing more and more and more is that parents are gifting, I'm going to say regifting, but gifting in advance part of their inheritance to help with a larger down payment so that the monthly payments are lower and they're able to buy more house when they start. Right? So we're seeing more and more of that. But maybe you will have to do 5% down. Regardless, when you call us for a clarity call, we'll work out the numbers based on your scenario. You just go to the dekkerteam.com website, and if you're saying, yes, it is time for me to own my first, and maybe it's not your first home, but that's the primary thing we're speaking to right here in this particular segment, right? But we'll still talk to you on the clarity call about any purchase.
Yeah,
won't we?
Whether it's upgrading or buying an investment property, all of them build wealth.
If done right.
Correctly. Yeah. And it's interesting that who did that stat? Let me just see. Statistics Canada, actually, the wealth division distribution for 2025, they said that homeowners have a median net worth of $685,000 versus renters who have a net average median net worth of $24,000. That's almost 28 times difference.
And that's even with the consideration of the misuse of the house for consolidation, for consumerism, or for consumer purchases.
Yeah.
That's even with.
It's very,
is that not
very
crazy?
Powerful. Yes. Yeah. And, you know, when Zane said, he said in there, when you own where you live differently. You care more, you plan more, you grow more. You're really investing in your own investment.
Yeah, and I would say that's not 100% true. I have had some amazing tenants that took better care of the house than I did, right? Like literally. And yet that's rare versus common. So if you're an amazing renter and you take incredible care of the property, this is not a slam against you.
No.
We're talking typically. Typically what happens is when you own something, there's a pride of ownership that goes along with it.
Yeah, and we've also seen houses where they're dilapidated, and it's because the homeowner doesn't have the money to fix it,
Right.
or whatever circumstance changed, or they don't care. So there's that side of the coin as well. But historically, and the majority of properties that are owner-occupied, people live a little different.
They do. We've been out showing power of sale properties because there seems to be a little more of them than there was in the marketplace. And I think the reason for that was the height of the pricing in COVID and the low interest rate. So those two things fit together where people now unfortunately got in over their heads. They maxed out at the low interest rate. And now when the interest rates are still very low in the scheme of things, it is causing them a lot of distress, and they're losing them to the financial institution because they can't make their payments.
Yeah, many of those took variable rates instead of locking in. And I'm seeing that on investment properties too.
Yeah.
People have investment properties up for sale because they didn't lock in. And my thought on investment properties is if you want to know for 5 years that it's got cash flow, that the rent's covering it, then lock it in, make sure it works in a locked in rate for say 5 years, because it gives you options at the end of the 5 years. But if you went variable at 2% and then it rose to 6% on investment property, you got a problem.
Big problems. And yes, if the rates continue to go down and you've locked in, then yes, you're paying more interest over the long haul. And yet if the numbers work, again, we're moving back into that conversation around security, right? It's security and knowing where you're headed. So different purposes, depending on where you are in your journey, you will make a different choice.
Right. Yeah. And again, we talked about it in the first session, but just to reiterate, as the house builds wealth for you, because you're leveraging the bank's money, and housing typically goes up 4 or 5% on average. If you take a 10 or 20 or 30-year chunk, about 4 to 5%. Well, you're only into it, say 20% when you start, or 5%. So you're leveraging, you're multiplying that growth. So you're not actually, yes, you're getting 5% growth on the value of the house, but that works out to like 20 or 30 or 40% growth on the actual money you invested.
And that's a piece most people have a hard time wrapping their brain around, because real estate is one of the few vehicles where that's actually true.
Right.
Right? One of the very few investment vehicles where your money that you didn't put in is still making money. So the rates of returns are astronomical when you actually look at what was your down payment, what was your real skin in the game.
Yeah. And so if you've been in your house for 5, 10 years and you started to build up some of that equity, maybe a clarity call on what you could do with that equity would be a great thing. And you can register for a clarity call, free call, on our Dekker team website, DEKKER team.com. And ownership is the foundation that keeps every other part of the formula working. And we're all about clarifying your options, because when your options are clear, your wisdom will flow.
Moving forward with the